Secondly, I'm very excited to announce that we have a new CEO, which you already know if you read your emails. Many of you know Darren Kimball, who has been doing a fantastic job with the 5 O'Clock Club as Senior Vice President of Strategy and Business Development. Darren has a very impressive background. Before he came to us, he had a successful career on Wall Street. You might think that's odd, but there's a really good reason for this. He was a securities analyst and a portfolio manager. He has a knack for analyzing trends, and that's a great fit for our research-based program. And so not everybody can do that, so that was important to us. And he is always focused on satisfying the customer. That too is important. It's another reason why we think that he is such a good fit. And this is an exciting time for me as well, because it gives me the opportunity to get away from the day-to-day, but to spend more time doing research and writing, which I love. And not always about resumes, but there's other things as well that I like to write about. In addition, I've been running the club for 30 years. I'm almost 70 years old. Yay! And my husband and I look forward to being able to spend more time dedicating ourselves to, in addition to the 5 O'Clock Club, to the not-for-profit work, which is primarily helping young men who have aged out of foster care. But we also do other not-for-profit volunteer work as well. But don't worry, I'm still very much involved with the club and will be for years to come. Now, let's say hello to Darren Kimball, our new CEO. Yay!
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. I'm delighted that you're all here. We have a great program today. We've got a packed house, and as Kate said, this is our 60th seminar, and I just want to say thanks to all of you for making it possible to get to this milestone. So, as some of you that were here in the fall know, we're starting things a little bit differently. We're doing this audience response program, and I hope that at this point all of you have an electronic polling device in your hand, and the polling device is switched on. And I'll just say right up front, please note that all of your answers are completely anonymous. The device doesn't know who you are. So we got very good feedback on this program in September. I think everybody enjoys seeing what the opinion leaders in the HR community are thinking on some of these key topics. Can I just ask, Chip, how's my volume in the back? Do I need to? Okay. So let's go to the next slide. Before we get really started here with the program, I have to give credit where credit is due. This group was incredibly accurate back in the fall with regard to the New York City mayoral election prediction. I mean, you literally nailed it, as you can see in the screen. And that is why our first icebreaker is going to be this. Who do you expect will win Super Bowl 48? And as soon as I get your answers, I'm going to be leaving for Vegas. But seriously, we always use the first question as a warm-up for the group to make sure that you get comfortable with your devices. So the way it works is you key in the number that corresponds to your answer. You'll see the number on the screen display, and then you'll see the word received. If you want to change your answer or you type the wrong key, just keep pressing in the answer, and the device is smart enough to only record the final answer as your response. So let's see what everybody's saying. Okay. So, clearly a few folks that are not football fans in the house. The Houston Texans, sadly, had the worst record in the NFL this year, but there's always hope for next year. But personally, I would say that just like Eli Manning, I also have a brother who lives in Denver, so I will be pulling for the Denver Broncos this season, as are you. Okay. Now, normally we have only one icebreaker question, but since there are a lot of talent recruiters in the room, I needed to ask you this question as well. I've gotten some feedback from some that maybe facial hair is less than professional. Others say it really depends on the facial hair. So we really tried to be scientific here and present two identical pictures. You can see that I'm wearing the same tie in both of those pictures. Unfortunately, the shirt was at the dry cleaners at that point. So please, if you don't mind, place your vote on which individual you would be more likely to hire. Wow. Win, can I borrow that razor? Okay, now we'll get more serious. Let me just get a couple of baseline questions out of the way, if you wouldn't mind keying in the size of your company. Thank you for that. And next, the type of company, the type of industry that you represent. And as always, I hope you're enjoying our audience response program music selections. Okay, great. So now we can talk a little bit about the state of the job market. Interestingly, in September, this group had a very bearish bent. Only 13% of you predicted that the unemployment rate would fall faster than the consensus prediction at that time. In fact, it has fallen much faster. The prediction at that time was 7.1%. Clearly, though, this is still a very controversial topic because, as you know, most of the drop in the unemployment rate is accounted for people that are supposedly dropping out of the workforce, and I'm probably as skeptical, if not more, of that than you. But with regard to the question at hand, please tell us what you think. The Federal Reserve is predicting that the U.S. unemployment rate will average 6.5% in 2014. The last data point was 6.7%. Please share your thoughts. Okay, so we're still seeing that relatively bearish bent from the perspective of this group. So that is interesting. And now something a little bit closer to home. The question here is relative to the September seminar, or if you weren't here, just relative to September. Tell us if your organization is hiring at an accelerated pace, similar pace, remaining stable, slowing its hiring, starting a downsizing, or perhaps downsizing at an accelerated rate. Okay, that's a similar spread to what we saw in September. In September, about 40% more of you said that you were accelerating your hiring relative to the number of firms that were slowing or downsizing. And that ratio here is about 22% versus 17%. So a similar, I think, favorable bias. Next question is also relative to September. How has the environment changed for retaining top talent? Please key in your answers. Okay, so very interesting. So just over 40% of you told us in September that it was getting harder to retain your top talent, and it looks like the market for A players continues to ratchet tighter. Okay, now we're going to ask a couple of questions that we didn't ask last time, which I hope you'll find interesting. When you retain a search firm, how many unemployed people on a slate of 10 candidates would be acceptable? Okay, the answer, that answer surprises me. It suggests a little bit less of a stigma than I think that we are typically dealing with on a day-to-day basis, but that's a very encouraging answer. Similar question, what is the maximum number of positions that an applicant could have held in the prior 5 years and you would still consider him or her for that particular position? Okay, that's very interesting. Obviously, this is a reality of what we're dealing with in the last 5 years. We've obviously seen a lot more turnover and shorter duration to positions than in the past, and it's something that requires very deft handling on the part of the job seeker and on their coach. So here's the last question of the audience response segment. For the HR managers in the audience, how many of you aspire to play a functional role outside of HR in your organization? And remember that your answers are, of course, anonymous. Okay, so a lot of folks that are happy as a clam in the audience, which is good to see. So, thank you for participating in this segment. I hope that you found it at least a little bit interesting. And now I just want to take a couple of minutes to talk about our business. Let's face it, individuals that are caught up in a downsizing are put in a difficult position. And there is a stigma that's associated with having been let go, and that stigma tends to grow over time. So our role at the 5 O'Clock Club is to put ourselves in the individual's corner and to make sure that they're climbing to the top of any of the obstacles that they're facing. And sometimes that happens rather quickly, and sometimes it's a bit more challenging. And that's why we believe that package length really matters. And as you know, that's one of the things that really differentiates the 5 O'Clock Club in the outplacement sector, in the sense that all of our packages are a minimum of 1 year in length. And I think that this chart really underscores that message. This is government data on the duration of unemployment. More specifically, what it's showing is that about 40%, just below 40% of the unemployed have been searching for a job for at least 6 months. And we see this in our program as well. We are in what I would describe as a a barbell. We have a barbell curve in terms of the job search market. Instead of a typical bell curve, we have a curve that's fat at both ends. So some people are coming through our program and they're landing rather quickly, and then there are those that are finding their transitions to be more difficult. And the one thing that everyone who comes to us can count on is that we're going to be there for them as that critical safety net. We don't show our clients the door, and I think that's very important. So if you're offering short duration outplacement packages, we would argue that you stand to undermine the very rationale for why you offered them in the first place. And I think this message resonates with people, but how do you pay for it? And that's really where we come in, because we believe that we offer the most effective and efficient packages in the industry. The reality is that cubicles don't help you to get jobs. Hard work, good tools, and a great coach do. And that's why our packages offer the most guaranteed private coaching hours per dollar spent in the industry. Or to say it differently, we don't have overburdened project managers pointing people to do-it-yourself tools. Rather, we offer highly personalized professional advice from the industry's most talented coaches. And just as a for instance, generic resume writing services are very good at getting 90% of the information down on paper, but we believe that it's the final 10%, the perfecting of the message, the inspiration, the nuancing that really positions the candidate for success, and that's really where we excel. And regardless of the prior certifications, or I should say, in addition to all of the prior certifications and experience, all of our coaches are certified in our one-of-a-kind methodology and resume writing approach. So let me close by sharing our mission statement. We're very proud to have served over 100 corporate clients over the past year, and our corporate partners understand that to be a best place to work also means being a place that treats employees that are being terminated fairly. And when the business cycle dictates a reduction in force, our clients know that their money will be spent wisely and productively at the 5 o'clock club. One note of housekeeping, everyone in their folder should have a blue form, the famous blue form. It's the only thing that's not red, so you'll be able to find it. It's there's a place on the blue form to write in topic suggestions, and we really appreciate the input that we get from the audience with regard to topics for future seminars, and hopefully with your input we'll be in a position to have another 60 great seminars in the future. I would also encourage you to fill out the blue form. There's a box for each of these things. If you'd like to set up a meeting with a senior relationship officer at the 5 o'clock club, or if you're simply interested in attending one of our weekly small group strategy sessions, also known as the branches, or if you're an HR manager in transition and you'd like more information about our complimentary coaching program. So you can, at the end of the session, take your name tag and stick it to the bottom of the blue form, and as you're walking out at the end, you can hand it to one of the ushers. That would be fantastic. And with that, thank you. I'm going to turn it back to Kate.
We have a full house and an exciting program today, but first we want to hear from one of our members, which we do at every one of these breakfasts. Diane Paoletta has agreed to speak with you today. Her former employer did not pay for 5 o'clock club services, but nearly half the people who attend the club are self-referred and are paying out of their own pockets what we consider a nominal amount, but may not be nominal to them, because they want to work with our 5 o'clock club coaches. And I want to tell you that having self-referred clients in the mix is important to you as well. They mix in with those that you send us, and it makes for a healthier environment. We always do what's in the best interest of the job hunter, and having a healthy environment there instead of a whole group of people who are there against their will. That's just not so healthy. There's more energy, there's more focus, and there's a lot less whining when you have self-referred people there too who say, let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. So Diane attended regularly for 12 weekly small group strategy sessions. She landed successfully, and she has agreed to tell you about her experience at the club, which is how they would report at the club on their success as well. Let's give her a round of applause for coming back. Yay, Diane.
Good morning, and thanks 5 O'Clock Club for inviting me this morning. As Kate said, I got so much out of the program. Obviously, I got a job, which was the end result, but in addition to that, there were several things that really stood out for me in terms of the experience. One of the main things was giving me the structure that I needed to really search properly. Going from that 50,000-foot level of an industry perspective and getting down to the ground level where I started to really make connections. That was a key thing for me. The second thing was the networking itself. You know, how do you network the right way? Who do you network with? I mean, I'm a director of marketing, and I was networking with managers, which is wonderful, but they're not going to hire me. So I had to bring it up to the higher level to get noticed. And I will tell you the last thing, which to me is the most important thing of all of it, is the camaraderie. Having that small group session, having the same people, or most of the same people there with you, who hear your story every week, who are there to support you, I think was really invaluable. I'm a sole provider. When my income was gone, my household income had zero, had nothing but some unemployment. And I will tell you, it was very difficult to keep moving for those 12 weeks, but with the group, it certainly made it possible. And I still have friends from the group now, and I'm still networking with them. So again, it was a wonderful experience, and I thank all of you.
You know, the thing is, people who observe at the club are just shocked to see people having good times, having a good time there. But we always want to hear from the coach's point of view. So our coach for Diane is Win Sheffield. You may have met him before at another breakfast. He's a master coach with the 5 O'Clock Club, and he's also a contributor to our book, Work Smarts, which we use with our executive coaching program. So take it away, Win.
Thanks, Kate. So what you might have inferred from what Diane said is true, that she was one of the people who really buoyed up the other people in the group. And each of the people come to the club with an attitude of helping each other, and that really makes it work. The other thing that Diane did is she really looked at that networking and broke it down and figured out how to move things up to the next level. And then by doing that, also the other members of the group learned how to do that as well. So this is how the group works together. Sign up and come see this in action. You can just sit there and be an observer and see how this works for the members. If you come this Monday, you'll hear me talk about how to work letters to make your career successful. Thank you.
I love all of our coaches. I just love all of our coaches. They're so devoted and energetic, and they know each of their clients. If I ask Win about his clients, he will tell me exactly about those clients. Okay, now back to the HR Network. Our April 4th event is Best Practices for Terminating Employees with Dignity. We're very excited about the panelists who are lined up for this. We have 2 HR executives as well as an employment attorney. And you know, employees who sue tend to be those who were handled poorly during the termination process. So this is an important topic. And guess what? I'll be the moderator, so I'll get to see you again. So thank you for coming, and thank you for allowing us to be part of your professional lives. Now on with the main event.